to face. So we decided to meet at this quiet, unassuming little cafe in town. Walking into that cafe, I experienced the absolute most intense emotional whiplash of my entire life. In my head, I'd built up this expectation of a woman who was glamorous or, mysterious, someone who had deliberately orchestrated this huge, dramatic reveal. But the reality? The woman sitting across the table just looked exhausted. She looked like someone who had been carrying the heavy weight of a profound sadness for 18 years. She literally started apologizing to me before she even sat down. It turns out Sarah didn't just give me away. She got pregnant when she was only 16 years old. Literally a child herself. Her parents were incredibly strict, they were furious, and they essentially forced the adoption on her. And because it was a closed adoption, it meant absolutely no contact. The system severed us entirely. But here's the thing. She never stopped looking. She had been desperately searching for me for years, with no idea where I was, until just recently. As she's telling me this heartbreaking story, her hands are just shaking. She reaches into her bag and she hands me this old photograph. I look down, and it's a picture of a teenage girl holding a tiny newborn baby. The baby was me. But looking at the teenage girl's face, for the very first time in my entire life, I saw someone whose smile looked exactly like mine. Let me tell you, the emotional weight of that realization practically knocked the wind out of me. I walked into that cafe wanting to hate her. I really, really did. I wanted to be so angry at the woman who had caused this massive disruption in my life. But looking at that photo and hearing her story, I couldn't. Realizing that she hadn't abandoned me, that she'd actually been forced to let me go completely against her will, it fundamentally changed everything for me. It bridged this massive emotional gap between us right there in that cafe. But as we kept talking, this little seed of suspicion started to grow. A massive question was just hanging in the air. What about my father? I mean, it's the natural next question, right? Yet every single time I brought him up, Sarah completely avoided the subject. She would deflect, she'd change the topic, or she'd just stare down into her coffee cup. Something simply didn't add up, and her avoidance, it made me incredibly suspicious. Act 4. A shocking DNA result. A few weeks after that whole cafe meeting, I just couldn't shake the feeling that I still didn't have the whole story. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and do some investigating. I ordered one of those at-home DNA test kits. Honestly, I did it mostly out of curiosity, just thinking maybe I'd find a few distant cousins or map out my heritage, So I get the email with my results and I click it open, fully expecting to see a list of third and fourth cousins. Instead, the algorithm hits me with a number, 99.9%, an exact match for a sibling. The system identified a direct DNA match for an older brother, and not just any older brother, someone who was older than me by exactly 2 years. This absolutely freezing realization washed over me instantly. Sarah had never, not once, mentioned him. Think about it. If she was forced to give me up at 16, what happened 2 years prior? Why on earth did she hide a brother from me? I didn't even hesitate. I grabbed my phone and I called Sarah immediately. The very second she heard the tone of my voice and the word brother, she just broke down. She burst into tears all over again, exactly like that very first phone call. And then she gave me this absolutely terrifying confession. I was afraid. Gripping my phone, my knuckles literally turning white, I pushed back. Afraid of what? I asked her. And her response, barely a whisper through the tears, was simply, the truth. If a secret adoption wasn't the whole truth, what incredibly dark reality is she still hiding? Thank you for joining me for this explainer. As you can see, sometimes the secrets we uncover are really just the beginning of the story. Keep searching for the truth.